All right, so we're talking about criminal law and business. And criminal law is one of those areas that everybody really likes. It has all the cool stuff in it. I like criminal law from a legal standpoint because it's one of those areas that are completed. You know, when you get a final adjudication, it's done. Certainly there's, appeals and whatnot, but generally speaking, when you're done with a criminal law matter, it's done. It's not like family law issues where, someone gets divorced and you have to do modifications and then you have to go and do contempts and whatnot. But criminal law is one of those that it completes, and it's not something that people are real passionate about. Meaning, it is what it is. If all the elements of the crime are there, then you're convicted. If not, you're not guilty, or you can do some sort of plea bargain. So criminal law is an interesting area. Provides a means to punish wrongdoers who affect ownership of property, and certainly if someone steals from you, steals your property, there is a punishment that goes with that. A crime is a wrong against society. That's why the state brings the action. Now, certainly, if somebody steals from you, you can sue them civilly, for conversion or something. But the theft crime, the larceny, will be from the state. There are federal and state penal codes. Federal codes, if you violate a federal rule or a federal law, then you would go under federal jurisdiction, but you could also be under state jurisdiction for violating a state law. Now, what is crime? Crime is evil. Oh, it's horrible. Inherently wrong is malum in se. Okay, all these fancy Latin terms. Oh, for the record, I won't ask you to define Latin stuff. Now, there may be questions. What is inherently wrong, but you don't have to know Latin for my class. Deemed wrong by legislator is malum prohibitum. Examples: white-collar crimes. Everyone always talks about these crimes and whatnot, but white-collar crimes are going to be your business entity commits a crime, or a desk worker, accountants, attorneys. What? Attorneys commit crimes? When did this happen? I did not get the memo. Okay, officers of a corporation. These are the criminal matters you're probably going to deal with in business. Now, you have two different types of crimes, bad and very bad. Very bad crimes are going to be felonies. Typically speaking, a felony is a crime in which you are looking at more than a year of confinement, in jail or prison. A misdemeanor would be less than a year. And those are generally how you look at it. And the nature of the crime determines whether or not it's a felony or misdemeanor. Felonies are going to be, robbery, misdemeanor, what might be jaywalking, speeding, stuff like that. So there's a difference. Underlying concept of crime is intent. And folks, you got to have the intent to commit the requisite offense. Now, there are some offenses out there, such as statutory rape, which don't have intent. It's just the fact that you did the crime is enough to show intent, even if you didn't have knowledge that the individual was underage. So statutory rape would be, a strict liability crime. But specific intent crimes, assault, battery, fighting, murder, all of these crimes, you have the intent to commit harm, the intent to commit the act. And certainly, if you don't have the intent to commit the crime, then you don't have the crime. You're riding on the subway, going down the road, and all of a sudden it stops and you fall and you hit somebody. Did you intend to fall and hit that person? No, you didn't have the intent to hurt that person. Okay, there's no crime there. All right, there's probably no civil issue there either. There's no negligence. Now, pleas in criminal cases. Guilty. Okay. Guilty, yes, I committed the crime. Not guilty, oh, hell no, I didn't commit the crime. And nolo contendere is it's an interesting, people always ask me about nolo. I guess it's because it's Latin. But nolo contendere basically means is I'm not going to plead guilty or innocent, however, you go ahead and sentence me as if I pleaded guilty. Okay? That's nolo contendere. Now, why would anyone do nolo contendere? Well, basically, let's say you're involved in a traffic accident. Okay, the criminal side is going to be following too closely, running a red light, running a stop sign, this, that, and the other. You go to the criminal matter and you plead nolo. Well, you get sentenced, but there's no evidence that you pled guilty, so there's no admission. So on the civil side, whenever the person you hit is trying to sue you, they can't say, oh, you pled guilty, therefore you did it. They had to say, oh, well, we don't know if they had to plead innocent or guilty. As such, they had to prove their case in chief to come after you. Grand jury. Grand jury is an interesting thing. Whenever I first learned about grand juries, I always pictured like a bunch of people in a room, real dark, and a light right in the center, and interrogating witnesses, sort of like what you see in the movies. It just sounds mysterious. And it's constitutional in the Fifth Amendment. Generally, there's 23 people, and their job is to determine probable cause. Now, keep in mind when you're talking about the grand jury, the prosecutor actually runs the show. The defense attorney isn't there. Okay, the defense attorney might be sitting out in the hallway. The witnesses can be there. All the evidence is there. And again, this is not about admissible evidence or non-admissible evidence. It's about whether or not there's enough information to indict the individual. Okay, and they're secret. All right. Again, what the grand jury does is they take all the information, look at it, and they determine whether or not there's enough probable cause to have this matter go to trial. Okay, or whether there's enough information for them to indict the individual. Say, hey, yes, there's enough here. Let's get him. Let's throw him in jail. All right. Then the prosecutor takes it and runs with it. Constitutional protections. The Bill of Rights of the U.S. Constitution provides civil liberties that protect persons from the power of government, including persons accused of crimes. It also protects businesses from excessive regulation. All right, the Bill of Rights are the first 10 amendments of the Constitution, and they're very important. The original Constitution was set up in such a way as to set up our government. Okay, a lot of states would not sign the original Constitution unless individual liberties were put in there. As such, that's where the Bill of Rights came from. The first 10 amendments, and those gives us our individual freedoms. And in consideration of that, the states would then ratify the Constitution. So we had to have the Bill of Rights before all the states would ratify.